This is Weekly Woman by Jubilance for PMS. Andrea Bunn is a 3rd through 5th grade humanities teacher in Alameda, up in the Bay Area of California, who's currently the union rep at her school. She's now well into the school year in this crazy landscape, and we're hearing from this teacher on her perspective. Andrea is originally from San Diego, and she attended UCSB, where she majored in Spanish and minored in educational studies. She went on to attend Mills College and obtain her multiple subjects teaching credential. She's bilingual in Spanish, spending time in Barcelona and Nicaragua. And when she's not teaching, she's enjoying yoga, puzzles, and time outdoors. We're so excited to have her on today. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you, Alice. You make me sound so good.
You are so good. That's why you're on this, obviously.
Thanks. Super happy to be here.
Thanks. So we kind of start off with some more fun questions. I know you're like an avid yogi. What is your favorite place to practice?
Sorry, the dog's popping off. Scout. She's been quiet all day. No. My favorite place to practice, I was a big fan of Core Power Yoga, which is a national yoga chain that probably a lot of people are familiar with. Because I like the heated yoga practice. Like I love just like sweating a ton with the room that's like 96 degrees. I know, I see your eyes, Alice.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
I think it's crazy, but I really have enjoyed that. Since California shut down in March, I've been doing my own practice, like using videos online or just going with going through a flow by myself. And one of my favorite instructors from Core Power is starting to do outdoor like backyard classes or like at a park or an open space.
Wow.
So that's been great. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. That would be so lovely to do it outside, especially in California where it's so nice all the time.
Yeah, and it's just so good to be like with usually a group of women who are spaced out accordingly, but still together in the sunshine.
Yeah.
I think it feels good.
When I was back in San Diego, I did a spinning class that was outside. They just like moved all the bikes out like in Carmel Valley in a parking lot, which was really weird. But it was so nice to just like say hello to that person next to you, even though like you're wearing a mask. But I was like so starved for conversation. I think that was my favorite part. Definitely not the exercising, but
Spinning with the mask on sounds hard because like the deeper breathing.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but I'd be like, yeah. What is your favorite board game or puzzle?
I've been really into jigsaw puzzles for a while. Most recently, I bought one of the murder mystery puzzles where it comes with a storyline and then you have to put the puzzle together and the puzzle does not look like the box. And then
that's hard.
Put together the clues to figure out like what happened. This was a Titanic themed one.
That sounds so fun.
But I haven't finished it. I got a little distracted from that one.
You have a lot going on.
I have a lot going on. I've done a few since shelter in place since the shutdown, but yeah, I love that. I love me some Scrabble.
Oh,
I can tell you can't relate, but you're smiling and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that can be fun. I've actually like realized that I had no hobbies before this, like none, because I was just too busy. I think you're like, no, that's not true.
I just disagree what I know about you, Alice. Like,
well, I did theater and I wouldn't say it was a hobby. And like events, I would say that was like a lifestyle.
Okay. I guess like what's your definition of a hobby?
It's like crafts and like board games and like reading. I guess I read a lot, but now I play board games, Andrea. I'm patient enough to play board games now.
I'm so impressed. I mean, you have more time, right?
So. Life has changed.
Slow it down. What a lesson.
Yeah. Also, have you been watching the newest Bachelorette season?
Absolutely.
Wait, yeah. It's so good.
It's definitely unprecedented, as Chris Harrison likes to say.
The most dramatic season ever.
I dragged Rayhan back into watching the season. He hasn't watched for a while. And I actually haven't really watched for a while, but like now there's just, I
Nothing else to
need some
do.
light, fluffy content.
Yeah. I know. I need the love stories to like actually really work. Like usually I feel like I'm very cynical, but this time I'm like, I just need a fairy tale. Like please work.
Oh my gosh. We were joking that because this last one, right, she was already so enamored with like the first guy from the horseback riding date.
Yeah.
Like, let's just keep
That's
bringing them in.
true.
Let's just keep bringing them in and finding more couples and
Yeah. That could be fun.
change the game.
Yeah. Make it a different type of TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually applied for Samantha to be part of the cast for The Bachelor. this
You applied for Samantha.
Yeah, I applied for
Okay.
Samantha to be
Did she
on
know?
like no, she didn't. I just pretended to be her and I was like, I love volleyball. I'm like super fit and fabulous. She didn't get chosen. I think it's because she lives in Switzerland, but I was very offended that she didn't get a call, i.e., I didn't get a call pretending to be her. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Yeah, the whole like across the world thing might have been a problem.
who knows? And so you're living in Alameda now. Can you talk a little bit about your city and where are your favorite places to go when not in quarantine?
Not in quarantine. I love Alameda because I love the East Bay so much. It's the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay for everyone. I used to live in Oakland for a long time and I recently moved to Alameda. And one of the reasons I love it is it's like the beachiest place in the East Bay. We have a beach. Um,
Wow.
the beach is the bay. It's nothing compared to the beaches you and I grew up with. We were so spoiled, but it's still like a place I can ride my bike over and just like see the water. It's a really big, popular kite surfing and kiteboarding destination. So
Huh.
people will be out doing that, and
Wow.
so definitely going to hang out at the beach. My girlfriend and I have been going to the park to roller skate. The basketball courts have been closed, so
Huh.
we use that space to roller skate, which has been really fun.
Cool.
Um, that's a new hobby. And let's see. Yeah, I love going out to eat. There's so much good food in the Bay Area. So
Have you been able, like, are the restaurants open in your area or are they all outside? I know in New York, it's just like the streets are just filled with restaurants now.
they've done a lot of that where they've built out into like the bike lane
Oh, okay.
kind of and like put barricades on like more like main street eating areas. For the most part, we're still doing takeout.
Okay.
Just as personal preference or like taking it, eating it in a
Yeah,
park.
me
But
too.
you kind of find like the restaurants that aren't busy, that the tables are really well spaced, that kind of thing, and figure it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you're a teacher during this time. Can you talk a little bit about like being a union rep and deciding how you guys were going to go back to school?
Um, yeah, it's been unbelievably difficult. Obviously, this time has been really difficult for everyone. I actually signed up to be our union chair, so it's the equivalent to like the president of our union
Wow.
last year, partly because no one else wanted to do it. My friend was the vice chair, my friend and colleague, and then the previous chair, he was leaving to work at a different school. And so she was in charge of like emailing out to everyone. And of the people who were nominated, I was the only person who responded saying I'd do it. Like it's a really big unpaid commitment.
Yeah.
Um, and especially this time, but that was back in August of 2019. So like I was like, yeah, sure, just once a month you like lead a meeting. And the first half of the year was that. Like we would just like decide which food to get for the meeting on Wednesdays once a month. And it was a great
Wow.
learning experience, but not a ton of work. And then everything shifted because we had to, teach from home and then negotiate what it's going to look like to go back in person. And that process has been was a lot of work over the summer, lots of meetings to negotiate that, lots of meeting with other unions in the area to figure out what their unions are negotiating to be on the same page, and really make sure that
Wow.
we're having the safest environment possible for our staff and for our kiddos, ultimately for our students. July was particularly hard because that before Newsom came out saying that schools were not allowed to open, our administration was really pushing to open in
Wow.
July, and we none of our teachers wanted that, right? We did not want that to happen. And then fortunately, like a week later, after like we were having all these going into like late in the night Zoom meetings, he came out with that saying that until you were in the red tier, I believe. There's been a lot of systems, but it was the color tier system. And when you're in this tier, then you, for 2 weeks, then you could open schools. And so that was a huge relief. And fast forward to now, we've come up with a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, an agreement between our admin and our union
Huh.
about going back. And kindergarten through second grade is going to go back January 7th in a hybrid model, like small classes, half-size classes. As of
Wow.
now, obviously, like
Yeah. Who knows?
November, it's November, who knows? And I'm supposed to go back in the classroom January 14th with
Wow.
half-size classes. Um,
Wow.
so we'll see.
I'm so glad you're in California. In New York, they've gone back to school. I mean, albeit like um not all the time. I think there's like a system in place, so they're going part-time. And some have chosen to just go virtually, but the teachers are back in the classroom and back there. And like there's talk of shutting down the schools because we're at like the 3% where um Cuomo, our governor, said that if we get to the cases being at 3% of all the tests that are going every week, then they would shut down the schools. But he hasn't shut them yet. But it's so dangerous for
That's right.
everyone involved.
Yeah, it's concerning. But ultimately, like I don't know. We recently learned that we are gonna get tested every 2 weeks at our school, at work, on site. And it's
Wow.
the 24-hour response, which is not what we're seeing in local school districts. And I think that really is just such a gift of being at this smaller charter school,
Wow.
because it's a lot for a giant school district to pay for.
Yeah.
But we're the smaller school. We tried to push for testing students, but they're saying that it's just too expensive.
Hmm.
Um, Personally, I don't think that should be off the table yet.
Yeah.
But it is a relief to know that staff will be regularly tested. Like I know from other people sharing with me like experiences whereas their son's preschool and they caught it with the teacher testing and they were able to shut down for a certain amount of time and then reopen safely. And so that gives me hope.
That's good.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I know Gretchen, my sister, she is at the BBC and they said they were going to go back in September. It's just like November. Then they said January. And then last week they just said that they're going to go back like in the spring sometime. So I would hope and guess that you guys will continue to be virtual as well. I hope. I know like all the New York businesses are saying next summer.
yeah.
Um,
We'll see. I mean, as long as like our county numbers stay low, like that's what we're looking at, like I think it's the right decision. But
gotcha.
as we're reading that it's like the numbers are going up almost everywhere, like nationwide. I honestly haven't checked the Alameda numbers like recently. Um, yeah, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
it's really hard because we also really need kids back in classrooms. Like I'm seeing the negative effects of kids being out of their classrooms,
Hmm.
and it's just really widening the achievement gap between those students who have more resources at home, who have parents that can help them, who have like consistent technology access, all those things, and those who don't. Um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
so
That's really tough.
it's pretty heartbreaking.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry you're dealing with that. Thank you for teaching everyone. They need a happy, fun teacher like you.
oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you guys reading in humanities in one of your grades? Are they reading some like fun books at least?
You know, I wish I could say they were fun. I don't know. Do you remember when we were in mother-daughter book club back in the day, you and me and the gals and the moms, we read Esperanza Rising.
I loved that book.
Yeah, so that is one of our fourth grade like
Oh my gosh.
texts. We always read that in fourth grade, partly because fourth grade standards are to do like state history, so it connects to
Mm.
California geography, California history. So we're reading that with fourth grade, and I love it, but it's also like a pretty heartbreaking story at times.
Yeah.
Um, and third grade, we read a book called My Name is Maria Isabel, which is about an immigrant girl from Puerto Rico and her experience going to school in the United States. And
Wow.
in fifth grade, we're reading I Am Malala, but the Young Readers Edition,
What?
which I
That's
haven't done
cool.
class before, and it's been really, really fun.
Wow.
Like intense, the content is intense, but the kids are just like really rising to the occasion of discussing this text and learning about, education inequities in Pakistan, and
Wow.
it's been good. So we've been focusing on those right now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah. Um, and where do you see education going in the future? Is it going to be, do you think it's going to be more online?
I think like everything in our world, like we're realizing how much we can do online, right? From this experience.
Yeah.
Um, and it has been interesting to see certain kids that are more successful with what we call distance learning, right? Learning from home. Maybe because some of the social challenges of being in like a classroom of 20 to 30 kids
Mhm.
aren't there anymore. And so they're able to really focus on their learning. But where do I see it going? I mean, I think we really need to take advantage of this time where we've been asked to reimagine schools and not really think of it as try to flip it and not be so negative, like it's really not working. But when we come back, be like, let's use this as like almost a fresh start to reimagine what a school can look like and what learning can look like. um, and how we engage kids and what we prioritize too. Like I think we're realizing this year more than ever, like how important social emotional learning is.
Hmm.
Teaching kids about social interactions and their feelings and self-expression and resilience, right? Because that's what
Wow.
we really
Yeah.
needed this year. And so I know, fortunately, I'm at a school that really prioritizes social emotional learning, but in the past I've been at schools that didn't so much. It was very much data driven, test scores, like got to get the test scores higher, which is understandable. Like those schools are under a lot of pressure to keep their test scores higher, to get funding and to provide opportunity for kids. But really, like this allows us to kind of take a step back and be like, what's actually the most important right now?
Hmm.
Like this year, we want the kids to feel safe. We want them to feel loved. We want to know that they're learning. Are they meeting all of the standards of their grade level this year? Like that's not happening right now this year for
Wow.
everybody.
Really? Ugh,
Yeah,
that's
I mean some
too
kids
bad.
see, but some it just we're having a lot less instruction time.
Huh. Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense. Oh
and when
man.
we're back in a hybrid model, like the kids will be on campus 2 days a week, opposed to the 5 days a week, and they have alternative learning assignments when they're home without the facilitator, without the teacher, but it's still like not the same amount
Yeah, that
of
makes
time.
sense.
Um,
Are kids gonna have to like redo this year? What are your thoughts on that?
no, I mean, I think it's just going to fall to the teachers to work on like catching kids up, doing some air quotes, but like
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna have to be this understanding, at least at the elementary level, that like some of the skills that would maybe normally be totally grasped at a certain grade really will need to be reinforced at the beginning of next year.
Hmm.
Um,
That's so interesting.
yeah, I do wonder about like at a high school level where your grading really matters in terms of like college acceptance, obviously, and next steps in life. Like when I'm making the report cards, which I'm working on right now, because they're due next week. As a teacher, I don't feel like the stakes are quite so high. Like I can kind of
Yeah.
bump them up if I know that they've been working really hard because they're third graders, right?
Yeah.
Or, and then at the conference, just tell the parents, like, these grades are reflecting their work at home. So, like, it might be higher, it might be lower than what they do in the classroom.
Hmm.
Um,
Why did you decide to go into third grade and fifth through fifth grade? I know you were in first grade at one point. What's been your favorite grade to teach?
I mean, I adored first grade. I love working with kids that age, but it's really a really challenging grade because there's so much pressure to get the kids learning, of course, learning, but reading is what I meant to say.
Oh, wow.
Because that's the year where like early literacy is like for kindergarten, first grade. And so I found that I really, really do enjoy third grade. Like they're still have this innocence where they want to please their teacher, and they're for the most part really excited about being at school,
Hmm.
and like learning, and they're
That's
not
so
like
nice.
hormonal and sassy yet like the fifth graders tend to be. So I really like that age.
Oh, that's awesome, Andrea. Oh,
Hmm.
that's lovely. And something that we always ask on this podcast is what is your definition of womanhood?
What is my definition of womanhood? Hmm. I feel like womanhood is being your authentic self as a woman, like however that manifests for you, um, and having the strength and to be your authentic self, which is hard.
Hmm.
Yeah, and when I think of womanhood, I think of I think of the strength of so many women I know, both in the books that I'm reading with my kids right now. I think of Malala. I think of our mothers, your mother, my mother. I think of,
Hmm.
our current vice president elect. And it's such a wide range. Like womanhood can be anything you want it to be, right?
Yeah.
The idea that women can be whoever
Hmm.
they want to be.
I think that's awesome. I love that. Like you can be whatever you want to be or whoever you want to be. Uh,
Yeah, it's so cheesy, but it's
no,
fine.
I love
I'm
it.
very
I think that's
inspired
great.
post election.
I think that's wonderful. Yes, Kamala. uh, yes. And what if you met a woman on the street and you just had like one sentence to give her of advice? What would you say?
There's no context at all.
Yeah, you just like meet her on the street. Hello. No, you could have some context. Like you could know her. Like what's a piece of advice you would give?
Um, I mean, I would just say like you are okay. You are more than okay. You are amazing. You are doing amazing things. Um, I would just build her up, let her know that she is loved and that she is awesome and that she matters, and tell her to keep wearing a mask.
That's amazing. Yes, wear a mask.
Yeah.
Andrea, is there anything else you'd like to add to our listeners today?
No, this is just so much fun. I was nervous before, obviously, but I am so grateful to get to talk to you, Alice, and that you're in my life.
Yay.
one of the women that inspires me regularly.
That's very
Um,
nice.
yeah, so thank you everyone for listening.